Here's the situation. We are at a critical point in the history of Brooklyn. And the critical point is as follows. After 23 years of Joe Hynes serving as Brooklyn DA, it is simply time for a new DA. Joe Hynes has created programs to help drug-addicted people. In 1990, that was innovative. The reentry program that he created in the 90s, innovative. But it is 2013, and there are different issues that we're facing here in Brooklyn. The issue of stop and frisk was playing out right before his very eyes, and he stood silent when we needed leadership. All of those young men of color who were stopped and frisked unjustly on the streets of Brooklyn, it was wrong if it wasn't based on reasonable suspicion. And Judge Shira Schindler said that their constitutional rights were violated. Joe Hynes had an obligation to do something about that, to deal with the police, and to make sure that he protected the rights of the people of Brooklyn, and he failed them. Now he'll say, oh, many of those people never came into the criminal justice system, but they were degraded, they were humiliated on the streets of Brooklyn, and he knew about it. And so now he's running for office, and now he's trying to make it seem like, oh, he's been against stop and frisk. I want you to please point to one public statement he made in 2011 opposing the excessive practice of stop and frisk. You can't find it. You don't hear him say anything about this. In addition, innocent people have gone to prison for murders that they didn't commit. David Ranter is a great example. Look at the Jabbar Collins case. Look at the Dula case. How is it possible that in the Dula case, 4 young men were arrested for supposedly raping and sexually assaulting someone, but the victim recanted a day after they were arrested? And they let his prosecutor go into the grand jury and indict them, even though they knew that the victim said that she wasn't raped. That's not justice. It is not justice. We deserve better. We cannot have prosecutors submitting forged documents to judges. That happened under his watch. We can't have people grabbed from their homes and taken to hotels against their will just to force them to testify at trial. That happened under his watch. And at the end of the day, we need a new DA who's going to stand up and keep us safe. But we got to prosecute these cases with integrity. Mike Vecchione is at the center of many of these wrongful conviction cases. I don't know the man, but I know what fundamental fairness is. It is not fundamentally fair to suppress evidence. It's not fundamentally fair to threaten witnesses as they testified in the Collins case. Joe Hynes is the top prosecutor. It is time for us to have a new DA, a DA who's going to make sure that innocent people don't go to prison, and make sure that we have new ways. We have to go in a new direction. We cannot afford 4 more years of his failed leadership. That is a fact. Now, I present myself to you, and I have a record. He says I don't, I have a record. Whether you like it, what I did in the DSK case or other cases, I stood up. There's a common theme. And do you know how hard it was for me to get from the projects of New York City to where I am today? No one gave me anything. I had a mother who didn't give up on me. I had a mother who fought to give me a better life. And I want to fight to give these young people a better life. When you see these young guys walking around with their pants hanging down, I want them to know that I was once one of them as a young boy. That they don't have to do that. That if I can come out of the projects raised by a single mother and do what I've done, they can do great things. And so we need to have a new DA who's going to be fair. And Joe Hynes has been in office long enough, and it's time for a new DA. And I hope you will vote for me, and let's take Brooklyn in a new direction. Thank you.
I don't plan to use my time to try and rebut the scurrilous, unsupported attack on the integrity of Mike Vecchione, who convicted and sent to jail the county chairman of the Kings County Democratic Committee and convicted and sent to jail 2 corrupt judges. But Judge Dora Irizarry knew damn well, when she was told by Detective Gersitano, that Vecchione was not the person who violated the Brady Law. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about my upbringing, how tough it was for me as a child to watch my mother being beaten up, and were it not for her and getting me counseling I don't know where the hell I would be. So I didn't come for the projects, but I came from the nightmare of domestic violence. I've done something about that. I have many things planned for the next term if I'm lucky enough to get it. Most recently, I was approached by the Women's Prison Association. Would I be the prosecutor in New York City, the only one, to allow women to stay home with their children when they were facing a jail sentence? And I agreed immediately. 45 women, mostly mothers, will stay with their children, and they'll be able to go to work, to go to school, and to, most of all, the child will be prevented the horrible trauma of watching helplessly while the mother goes to prison. And the date is very, very clear. When that happens down the road, too many children follow their mom or dad into prison. I've been your DA for nearly 24 years. I've taken crime down in an historic drop, 80% reduction in serious crimes since 1990, a dramatic drop, 83% in murder cases. I think everyone will tell you that the streets of Brooklyn are a hell of a lot safer. And I don't take all the credit. It's obviously a community-based effort. We collaborate with communities. We do work with cops, and yet I've prosecuted more corrupt cops than any prosecutor in the state's history. I was a special corruption prosecutor for New York State for 6 years. But I work with the cops to get it done. And I agree with Ken. You've got to have the cops working with you. You've got to train them. That's why we've trained 4,700 of them in search and seizure. I have much to do in the next term. You know what Red Hook was like 15 years ago? You wouldn't go there unless you had a platoon of Marines for the 3rd Marine Division. I put the Red Hook Community Court there. Red Hook became one of the safest places in the city. Brownsville, under my leadership, is 2 years away, and it's going to be up and running. We already have a youth court in Brownsville. I'm going to reverse a dumb decision made 60 years ago, which centralized the court system. And all the credibility went downtown, out of the neighborhoods, when they did that. I want to reverse that. When Brownsville becomes the miracle that Red Hook was, this city is going to get safer and safer. And we're going to have a mayor and a city council that will reverse that decision and give us local courts once again. Bring justice back to the people. That's where it belongs. I've been your DA. I care about you. I've worked very, very hard for you. I ask you to remember that on September 10th, I've been there for you. Be there for me. Thank you very much.